Welcome to Lawmen, a podcast about local legends and obscure curiosities from days of yore. I'm James Shakeshaft.
And I'm Alistair Beckett-King.
Alistair, we're going camping in a way on this one.
Are we?
Yeah, don't worry.
And
you
I'm
don't
coming.
need it. You don't need your roll mat or your sleeping bag because it's camping of the mind.
Oh, okay.
But as you snuggle down into your tent
of the mind,
of your mind, you hear the noise.
What's that?
It's the Roman Robot of Cirencester. Gunk, gunk, gunk. But in Roman accent, in Latin. Alistair, we are, at the time of recording, we're squarely in bank holiday season.
Yeah, we are. It means nothing to me because I'm freelance James. I don't know when they are. I'm constantly being blindsided by them.
How does it affect you?
What if I wanted to go to the post office or to a bank in the 1950s? What if I wanted to have a conversation with my bank manager?
That's true.
And it was closed and he was on holiday because he would be a man. He would be a man in those days. Bowler hat, umbrella. I hate bank holidays.
But are they like inset days at school? Do the bank managers and tellers, do they all have to go in and like do their homework, do their banking?
Yeah, they probably do. Just try and remember what the different monies look like.
Because in those days as well, there would have been more because of Europe.
Yeah.
Because of the lack of the euro.
And now that Europe doesn't exist anymore, it's a bit easier.
Oh, yeah. Well, we are recording this in the past, so let's not make too many predictions, especially given the recent news today. But we won't say what that was, so it would be a mystery.
Yeah, no, that will work for pretty much any bit of news. It's always bad.
It's pretty bad.
Something bad's always happening.
Yeah. Started off with M&S was down, and then it was Spain.
Yeah. So, sorry, Marks and Spencer's took down Spain.
No, M&S went down, or a small part of M&S went down, the main delivery centre.
Right.
And then Spain, and then later, a few hours later, Spain had gone down.
And are those events connected?
I don't know, actually.
I mean, there was a time when sort of the ideas of Karl Marx were haunting Europe, but Marks and Spencer's have generally provided sort of upmarket food and clothes without actually devastating Western democracies. So far.
Different Marx.
A different guy, obviously.
Different Marx. It wasn't Karl Marx and Frank Spencer.
Wait, what? I tears down a Soviet-style portrait of Frank Spencer and smashes it to the ground. Smashes up Frank Spencer lying in state in a glass coffin.
But did you mean to smash it up, or did you go in reverentially to see him and then trip over in a series of unfortunate events?
Well, I'll explain, James. I was roller skating. I love to roller skate, and this was going fine for a while.
Roller skating is the method of transport for the people.
Yeah, I was roller skating along behind one of those tanks that go down those parades towards Red Square, hitching onto the end of it, skitching, I think they call it.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Is that what Marty McFly did?
Yeah, I think it's like hitching and skating, skitching.
I didn't know it could ever be done in real life. It seems
I've not done it in real life. I've done it in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Okay. Well, all right. That's ticked off a lot of things for the Lawmen bingo card. Back to the Future reference.
Back to the Future, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, the Soviet Union. Yeah, Karl Marx. Friend of the show, Karl Marx.
And new introduction, a new challenger has entered the arena. It's Frank Spencer. Friend
of the show, Frank Spencer. Soviet leader, Frank Spencer.
If people don't know who actual Frank Spencer is, he was what was even the show called?
Some Mothers Do Have 'Em, which sounds like a name you would make up as a name for an English sitcom. You would tell an American, oh yeah, it's called Some Mothers Do Have 'Em. No, have 'em, not have 'em.
Or not have them.
Or is it have 'em?
Have
I think it's have 'em.
Have 'em, yeah. Well, it was a sitcom built around the fact that the comedic actor Michael Crawford, he was a physical comedian, really, and he was very good at slapstick. And it was a sitcom built around slapstick
escapades,
really, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he He has a strangely childlike energy at best, but he seems to be in a, as far as we know, sexual relationship with an adult woman.
I think he has a kid, yeah.
It feels inappropriate if you watch the show. It doesn't seem right that they would be together. It's hard to see what she's getting out of it.
No, yeah.
Apart from being a long-suffering girlfriend/wife in a sitcom.
Maybe, although I don't know if the dates line up on this, maybe she was secretly filming all of his accidents and getting them on You've Been Framed, or America's Funniest Home Movies.
Hey, I'm framing you here, I think it's called.
Yeah, I'm framing here. And yeah, maybe she was actually secretly making money, a sort of a light-hearted snuff.
Oh, yeah, okay. I started, did you hear that? I started to agree with that. I started to yes and that. And then, then just something in my stomach went, no, you don't agree with that.
No, Some Others Do Have Them isn't light-hearted snuff.
It's not like a light-hearted snuff film. Don't tell people it is. It's just about a weird man-child who's always on roller skates.
He's seemingly always on rollers. That was a big stunt.
He did all his own stunts, some great stunts.
I suppose it was in the sort of Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin kind of, like the through line of that.
Absolutely, more than it is Trotskyite, Leninite, yes.
Yes, and yeah, as far as we know, they never made a spin-off sitcom with Frank Spencer and Karl Marx sharing a flat. In that, that bit of time when Karl Marx worked in London or whatever?
Yeah, it didn't happen, no. And between Karl Marx and Frank Spencer?
Ooh, what are they, in what situation are we? Are we addressing heads of state, or are we, trying to put a new boiler in upstairs?
I think I'd get Karl Marx for both of those.
I don't know, if we're going to the mills to kind of try and, cause a bit of a ruckus and get things going, you might want Frank Spencer.
Do you think so? Do you think he could start a
I think he could quite easily incite a riot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually what that song I Predict a Riot was about Frank Spencer.
Is the opening credits to Some Others Do Have Them. That's what the guy from the band that wrote I Predict a Riot.
Yeah. No need to remember who that was and edit it in later. Nobody noticed.
No. However, Alistair, I didn't bring you here to come up with...
You didn't?
To come up with amazing Dragon's Den beating sitcom ideas, because Dragon's Den are now taking on sitcom ideas.
Finally. Someone's got to answer my emails.
But I did bring up bank holidays for a reason originally, and it's because it's the time of year when Lil Jimmy Shakes packs up the family in the car, puts the roof rack on, and we go camping.
Just for listeners who are joining us now, Little Jimmy Shakes is James.
Hello.
And he puts the roof rack on the car, not himself.
Yes. Yeah.
He's a big guy, but he's not roof rack big.
I'm not roof rackable.
No,
I don't have much internal storage.
That is my one criticism of you, James, that you don't have a lot of storage space.
But it wouldn't be a good idea to try and improve that with a roof rack.
No way.
Just so you know.
You have to get a flat top. You have to ask the barber for a flat top and then put a roof rack on that.
A small roof rack.
Yeah, very small roof rack.
I've miscalculated my timings on my camping, Alistair, because normally we do it on the last bank holiday of May, because there's two bank holidays in May, because this is bank holiday season.
Thank you for that information. I don't know anything about bank holidays. That sounded sarcastic, but it's true.
There's also an early bank holiday season in May, just an early bank holiday in May.
How can there be more than one bank holiday season in a single month?
I've muddied the waters there. There's two bank holidays in May, one at the start, one at the end. Normally we go camping at the end. It's warmer. This year, due to miscalculations with the other couple of families that we go away with, we've decided to go on the early one.
Jimmy Shakes.
Listeners will know whether or not that heat wave did come about for that weekend. So you'll have an idea of whether I had an enjoyable time or not. But as to compound my bad planning, I'm going to do McCuntleth Comedy Festival with them blooming cheeky lads from the Rural Concerns podcast.
Oh.
So I'm going camping in Wales on Friday, and then I'm hot-footing it via rail from Wales to Gloucester on Saturday.
Okay, that's the West Country at least, right?
Yeah, but you've got to go via Birmingham because of the unique way that railways exist, which they're seemingly made by a drunk spider. So it's a big old journey, a lot of camping and a lot of travelling. But the place we are going to be going camping is down in Gloucestershire near Chedworth Roman Villa, which is going to be one of the bits of activities that I'm going to put that I'm going to table as a motion to entertain everyone, is that we go to Chedworth Roman Villa.
That sounds great, although you have expressed it in a very boring way.
Chedworth Roman Villa. Have you heard of Chedworth Roman Villa, by the way?
No, I haven't.
It's quite nice if you like mosaics. You look
up in the northeast, but I've never been to Chedworth.
Vindalanda. That sounds.
I think as kids we called it Vindalandaland, like it was a theme park, and I don't think that's what it's called. I think it's called Vindalanda, and it was a Roman villa. Yeah, a Roman villa, I think.
Well, because this one is near the town of Cirencester, or Coronium, as it was called back then.
Okay, I'm looking at how Cirencester is spelt.
Yes.
And it's exactly the way you just pronounced it. Is that possible?
Cirencester?
It's pronounced Cirencester.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot you're not local. It's spelt Cirencest. Those C's are Sirs.
Yeah, but what I mean is, normally, when there's a Cester in it,
yes,
like Leicester or Bicester, normally some part of it gets dropped. I would have expected this to be like Cirencester.
Oh, have like an extra couple of syllables in there, sneaky syllables.
Normally there's more letters than there are noises in these in your southern Chesters.
Oh yeah, no, this is bang on. Apart from the fact that it's spelt with C's that are pronounced as Sirs.
Cirencester.
But the Romans didn't know it as Cirencester. They knew it as Corinium,
which sounds very cool. But say it with an Italian accent.
Corinium.
Not so scary. No.
If I say Corinium, it sounds like, what Wolverine's made out of or something.
Yeah. Adamantium. It works for it. Yeah, it makes everything a little bit less scary and cool.
Vibranium.
Unapanium.
Vore vibranium. That means I would like vibranium, which probably happens in one of the Italian dubs of the Marvel films. And Alistair, not only are we going to have a fun day out looking around Chedworth Roman Villa, looking at the mosaics, there's also RAF Chedworth, which is an old World War II era RAF base, which is now, if you have a little Google of it, it's now all overgrown and it's gone back to nature.
I will do that right now. Hold on. Oh, yes. Yes, it's like nature's RAF base. Very post-apocalyptic. Very Threads.
Oh, it is a bit, isn't it? Yeah. But there's like
the kids will love
and
that.
Stuff like that. That's going to be a right old laugh. But also, it's quite interesting, I think, that you've got Chedworth Roman Villa, which has been broadly uncovered, but that's got 1,500 years on RAF Chedworth. And RAF Chedworth is looking in a much worse state, even though there is kind of more of it.
Yeah, a bit of social commentary there.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm saying. But what I will say is that in the 1950s, a local vicar saw some ghostly airmen at RAF Chedworth, so I'm going to be on the lookout for them.
Excellent. Oh, I can see some red brick walls laid out like a maze, but all covered in a thick layer of moss. So it looks like a hedge maze, but it's not.
Yeah, it's going to be like being in a James Bond level.
Yeah, and then just a hole in the ground, just an unmarked hole that you could just plunge into and never return from. Yeah, no, the kids are going to love this place.
Also, when I'm in Cirencester, I might try to go to the Black Horse pub. The licensee's niece in 1933 was awakened at midnight and found her room lit by a strange light, and she saw an evil-looking old woman float across the room and through the wall.
Okay, not bad.
And where that old woman floated through the wall, they found some paneling, and behind that paneling, they found an old window. And etched on that window was a name, Alistair. It was the name James.
James. Oh, so that's not the name of the... Yeah, very spooky, but not the name of the woman.
A psychic later did some psychic stuff investigating there and found that it was haunted by the spectre of an old woman who'd been very nasty to an old man there.
Right.
And that was why her spirit was trapped to that room.
Okay, I see. And sometimes when we see ghosts, they're just carrying out the activities they would have carried out in life. And so presumably when she was alive, she would have floated out through that window.
She was simply floating out through the window.
But then she doesn't know it's been walled up since then. So to us, it looks like someone floating through a wall rather than the much more ordinary
floating through a
prosaic
window.
Activity of floating through a window.
So the medium gave instructions on how to lay the ghost. 3 white flowers were laid in the room at 3 p.m. on the 3rd day of the month. And they did it, and that no further trouble was reported.
Wow, and also really no trouble up to that point was reported, but still very good.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, I say that. There have been some further activity. This is from Mysterious Gloucestershire by Mark Turner.
You did say that in Jimmy Savile's voice, but fine, that's fine.
It could have been like a ghost of an old woman floating through a window.
It was spooky, so maybe.
Yeah, no, in the 70s, there were some strange occurrences. And then in 1999, guests reported seeing an oddly dressed old woman upstairs and potentially falling down the front of the building after she'd floated out the window. No, I made that last bit up.
Thank you for confirming that, James.
There's also another pub called the King's Head that's haunted by the figure of a cavalier who frightened a Dutch tourist.
And could you give me the sound of a Dutch tourist being frightened, James?
Whoa.
I'm shocked. No, I can't do it. I don't know.
That's Sean Connery again.
Oh, that's Sean Connery, yeah. Not always good at accents with that run-up.
But it potentially could have been one of the supporters of the Stuarts. This was in 1688. A guy called Bulstrode Whitelock.
Bulstrode.
Whitelock. Whitelock.
Great.
Yes, those are 4 words none of which are a name. But Bulstrode Whitelock may have ghost may have frightened a Dutch guy because his ghost would often pop up holding a gun, shooting a pistol.
It's a shame he's dead because I was supposed to meet him in this inn to get a quest from him.
Bulstrode Whitelock.
Oh, he's played by Sean Connery. How did they get Connery to do the voice? You know anybody who needs any work doing in this area? Any trouble in the caverns, Bulstrode?
And he just points a gun at you. That doesn't work. But Alistair, those are simply amused booshes. I hope your boosh is amused.
It's very amused.
Because I want to tell you about Colton's Field, which is a field 2 miles outside of Cirencester. There have been investigations into where Colton's Field might be, and there's no records of anywhere called Colton's Field at the time. So, it's not too sure. It might have just been a local name.
Wow. So this is a really spooky start that the field might not even exist.
But they do think they know where that field was. They think it was a thing called Torbarrow, and we'll get into that later. Just while we're here, a couple of other place names when I was looking around there. There's one called Ampney No. Ampney No, and another place called Ready Token.
Oh, lovely. Collect enough Ready tokens and you can get into a secret room in the inn.
Cross Bulstrode Whitelock's palm with tokens.
Yeah, exactly. Or pickpocket him, get Bulstrode White Lodge's key. What's his name?
Bulstrode Whitelock.
Or crouch down, pickpocket him, get Bulstrode Whitelock's key.
Yes.
Get into his room, open Bulstrode's chest.
Find the window pane behind the fake wall. Follow the floating woman. Old lady out the window.
Pull one of those wall-mounted sconces. Yeah, you're in the local sewer system.
Wall-mounted scones.
Oh no, I've been attacked by a rat.
But in a broadsheet from 1685, which is 3 years before Bulstrode Whitelock sadly died, it says that, now this is the title of the broadsheet, which is an oldie worldy word for pamphlet. And it is a strange and wonderful discovery newly made of houses underground at Colston's Field in Gloucestershire.
Wow.
As people know who can see the word Gloucester written down, Gloucestershire.
Yeah, because they're all spelt like that. That is what I'm saying.
And this pamphlet actually exists. You can find this pamphlet, The Strange and Wonderful Discovery Newly Made of Houses Underground at Colston Field in Gloucestershire. And what happened was, Alistair, is 2 workmen were digging gravel at the foot of a big hill. which is where Colton's Field was. And they found, I quote, an entrance into the belly of the hill.
Ooh!
And they go in and they find a series of rooms, a series of fully furnished rooms. They've even got carpets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Carpet, because it's mostly laminates these days, if you're a renter. Carpeted rooms in a hill.
Carpeted rooms in a hill. And what do you think happened to those furniture and carpets when these workmen touched them, Alistair? What do you think they turned into?
I would hope they turned into valuable artifacts, which are now in a museum.
No. Simply must be dust.
Oh, I would have thought normally it's sunlight that causes things to instantly crumble to dust.
No, it's these guys touching it. And there was also
after some point, there's multiple furnished and carpeted rooms. Stop touching the things. You've touched an entire carpet that's turned to dust. You've touched a whole dinner table set, some occasional tables, a TV entertainment unit. They've all crumbled to dust.
No longer tables, not even occasionally. Now full-time
Never
dust.
Tables.
Yeah, perpetual dust. And there was also several urns, some of which had just ashes in them. And you can only imagine what
many tables
what furniture was in there before someone touched them. This version of the story I'm quoting from, by the way, is from friend of the show, Laura of the Land. But yeah, the pamphlet does exist. There are papers on the pamphlet around and about. And there were other urns as well. And these were filled with coins and medals. Coin spelt with a Y there. I hope you could tell from my pronunciation. Coins and medals of gold, silver, and brass.
Oh, nice.
Mm. And on the medals, there were Latin inscriptions and the coins, Latin inscriptions and the heads of Roman emperors engraved in them. And then they came to the innermost room, and there was sat at a table the image of a man in full armor.
The image of a man?
Well, that's what they say. The image of a man in full proportion, with a truncheon in his hand and a light in a gas-like lamp burning before him. So I think it looks a bit like a statue or something.
The Romans didn't have gaslight, though, did they?
Well, Alistair, actually, it was widely believed in medieval and Renaissance Europe that Romans had some sort of secret fuel that could keep a lamp burning forever.
Oh, that's cool.
And that would have been the belief at the time of this. And the thing is, that thing looks like a statue until one of the workmen goes into the room.
If I know these workmen, he's going to immediately touch it.
Well, he would, but the statue swings its truncheon at him.
Oh!
It jerks into life and...
the combat music starts.
Yeah. So the workmen run out and they don't know what this thing is. They don't know if it's some sort of guardian of the treasure or even the devil himself. But that said, they do manage to grab some coins on the way out, so they weren't that scared.
No, well, yeah. They had a little bit of time to smash some vases and get some rubies.
Yeah. And then they come back the next day with a gentleman who is a famous antiquary, and they all go back in. And they go all the way to the statue/robot automaton room, and it lashes out again. This time it smashes the lamp, plunging the room into darkness.
Oh, no. Surely they brought a light source of their own.
No, they didn't. And just as it goes into darkness, they glimpse some of the other things in the room. There's a couple of embalmed heads with long beards and shriveled flesh like parchment. And then there was a noise described as a hollow noise, like a deep sigh or groan. And then the whole caves and that start to cave in, and they manage to escape. But then the mound is fully caved in. And those coins and medals apparently fetched a pretty penny. Pun intended.
Wow.
So, and now they think that might be Torbarrow Hill, which is about 2 miles away from the centre of Cirencester.
And that's one of those triply repetitive names.
Yes.
Isn't it? Torbarrow Hill.
Yes. And it had on it 2 different sort of Anglo-Saxon burial mounds, one of which was excavated, but they didn't find, I guess maybe it had previously been excavated and they found a bunch of coins there or something.
So there were coins, but was there some kind of golem-like automaton defender?
We don't know.
We just don't know.
You know
what that reminds me of?
Mm.
Do you remember I think I told you a story about King Arthur and his knights under a hill.
Yes.
Waiting, but it really sounded like the bridge of a flying saucer or something like that. This one sounds kind of like that. A robot that protects the space.
So, but are you ready to score? Not that my future award-winning sitcom, Marks and Spencer's, but the story of the Roman Robot of Cirencester.
Yes, I am, James. Yes. Plus a few other tales that were sort of wrapped around it, like packing beans. Like those polystyrene beans you get.
It's like when you order something nowadays and they like chuck in a little mini bag of Haribo.
Yeah, which annoys me because I'm a vegan and I can't eat them. So what am I supposed to do with this Haribo now? I know it was a kind gesture, but you really lumbered me with an ethical quandary.
But first up then, first category.
What is your first category, James?
My first category is naming.
Well, what was the name of that guy, that quest-giving gentleman in the local inn with the gun and I assume a shock of hair and a white streak?
Bulstrode Whitelock.
I didn't even realise why I thought he had a white streak in his hair.
It's because he's but that. Oh, by the way,
it's nominative determinism, hair determinism.
He was in the gang of Lord Lovelace.
Ooh,
yes. Who else have we got? We got Torbarrow Hill.
Yep, great.
Hill.
We've
got Cirencester.
Tor. Yeah, we got Cirencester, which is unusually spelt the way it sounds.
Yep. RAF Chedworth Roman Villa, which sounds like it should be like a Samurai Pizza Cats thing, but that also doesn't quite scan. Colton's Field, the name of the broadsheet, a strange and wonderful discovery.
Ghost in Chedworth, Roman Villa. Ghosts in Chedworth, Roman Villa. Ghosts in Chedworth, Roman Villa.
Automaton with a truncheon. Gotta run now.
Very good.
Automat. I can't say it.
Yeah, you did put the stress on automaton wrong, but you needed to do it for the meter, James.
Automaton. But that's like...
I don't think normally you would say turtles on a half shell.
Heroes in a half shell.
Heroes on a half shell.
Yeah, because it's like a full shell. That's what a shell is.
I think, but they're referencing Venus on the half shell. The Botticelli painting.
I beg your pardon. Because of the Renaissance connection. Because of the Renaissance connection.
I assume so, yeah.
Alistair, you've just blown this case wide open. Unfortunately, in this case, very much. It was a turtle. That was disgusting. This case was a turtle.
If I can't have a turtle on a half shell, no one can.
Is that what that? Alistair,
I assume it's a reference to Botticelli's Venus.
If anyone else has ever thought that, then please let us know. Heroes in a half shell. I thought it was because they were turtles.
But they have a full shell, though. They don't have half a shell, do they?
Yeah, I know, but I think the guy was like, well, they've just got a shell on their back, but like, that's what a shell is.
That is what turtles are like.
Yes. Anyway, there's also the name of the broadsheet, a strange and wonderful discovery newly made of houses underground at Colton's Field in Gloucestershire.
Yes, someone was being paid by the word in that headline. Have you heard the news? No.
It's like a clickbait article, isn't it? It's like there must have been a time, like we've gone full circle headline-wise. We've gone back to really long ones, whereas there was a brief time where it was like, short, pithy, to the point, 2 to 3 words in big.
Yeah, the rules used to be that you put all the information up top and they sort of wrote it backwards. So if you only read the first bit, you've got basically the gist of what happened. But now stories are, that headline is more like the modern ones where, I was in a restaurant waiting to meet the person and it's going to be ages before the story starts in this news article.
Yeah, I was digging gravel at the bottom of the hill with my friend. And we didn't believe what we were going to find. Right. So, yeah, those are most of the names.
One weird secret. Roman automata don't want you to know. Guards of ancient hordes hate them.
You won't believe what this furniture turned into when we touched it.
And you're clicking, you're like, yeah, I do believe it, actually. I knew it was going to be dust.
Bloody dust.
Ah, you got me.
So for names.
Only people with a high IQ can get into this barrow. Sorry, yeah, names. I've forgotten. I was just
single
thinking about
Roman automatons in your area.
All right, it's four single Roman automatons in your area, even though there probably aren't that many.
It was one. Right then, okay, second category, supernatural. I'm going to need to remind you that there was that old woman who was...
who floated through a window. The ghost of a woman who floated through a window.
Yes, reliving the time when she floated through a window in life.
Yeah, that's rubbish. That's terrible. That's not a good ghost at all.
What about my name being etched on a window?
An extremely common name, James.
Yeah, it was the most popular name for boys in the year I was born. And I was born on the 3rd of December, and it was all about threes for some reason.
Yes. Well, there were a lot of threes in this story, weren't there? But I don't think this is about you.
Well, I might go there.
No, you could go there if you get haunted. Please tell me.
There was a Dutch guy got scared. Dutch guy got scared that time.
Yeah, can we just hear that again?
Yikes!
Lovely. Lovely. Very, very good. It doesn't sound as much like Sean Connery as I would have imagined, but very good.
Don't shoot.
Welcome to Amsterdam.
Put that gun away. This is Cirencester. Oh, God. He could never go there. He could never ask for directions there. He'd be laughed out of town.
I didn't realize they were pronounced like S's.
I thought it was Cirencester. Even that, he sounds like his teeth are falling out.
He's turned into a pirate. Well, I don't know. Maybe the Roman robot is he's got that lamp which is lit through some kind of fuel we don't understand. Maybe he is an automaton. Maybe he's not magic. Maybe he's science.
Oh, no. Is he?
I think he might be a leftover artifact of an advanced civilization. Aliens aren't supernatural. Ancient Romans aren't supernatural. I think it's a 2, James. I'm sorry. I believed the story so much. I cannot give you more than 2.
Okay, fine then.
My hands are tied, James.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You can't do it. You've done all you can. Okay, then my next category
I'm glad you appreciate
that. Next category is a welcome return from friend of the show, Dust.
Yeah. A hot Dust cameo. If this were the Minecraft movie, as soon as the dust appeared, people were throwing dust in the air.
Chucking dust at the screen, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, very dusty. Very, very dusty. And it was a welcome return for Dust.
Yes.
Yeah, it simply must be 5.
Yes. I didn't even have to get into the fact that gravel is just big dust.
That's just God's dust.
And mud filling the caves, walls all caving in with mud. Mud is just wet dust.
Wet dust, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, then. Well,
absolutely. And I'm being pretty generous here because I could have said that as soon as you touched that 5, it crumbled, but I'm not doing that.
Yikes. Oh, that was close.
It's crumbling into even more dust, so it's 5.
I dodged a bit of dust there.
Dodged a dust bullet, which sounds like a vacuum cleaner.
And then my final category, it's Roman Robot on the Rampage.
Sorry, that's the final category.
Yeah, there's a Roman Robot on the Rampage.
Leaning heavily on alliteration for this one. Roman Robot on the Rampage.
Yeah, and if you want that Roman Robot to have been played by Frank Spencer, that would explain why he smashed its own lamp and then the whole place caved in.
I think what American listeners might not know is one of the things about Frank Spencer is for a long time it was an impression everybody did.
Oh, yes.
But I think, James, you and me were a bit too young to have bothered perfecting a Frank Spencer impression.
Yes. Yeah. It's like I probably tried it out a few times as like a 4-year-old, but I wouldn't have had the range in them days. And,
he did have quite a high-pitched voice, though, although I imagine as a 4-year-old, you were quite like, could I have my breakfast now, please? Could I get out of the high chair?
Weetabix for me, please. No sugar, thanks.
I'm sweet enough already.
You call this a high chair? My feet are on the ground.
Fun-sized Mars bar. I don't see what's particularly fun about it. Looking left and right to see if any other kids are laughing. That observation, they aren't.
A king size is regular size. Which is also a joke that you could have said.
That's true, because my surname is King.
So the category is Roman Robot on the Rampage.
It's a Roman Robot on the Rampage.
Brackets played by Frank Spencer.
I feel like I need the impression, James. You did so well with the Dutch guy. I need the "Ooh, Betty" impression. You're going to have to do it for the listener to know what Frank Spencer might sound like if
he was a Roman robot.
The only way I can think of phrasing this, James, is in the style of a 1980 stand-up comedian. What if a Roman robot on a rampage was played by Frank Spencer? Well, I think it would sound a little something like this.
Oh, Betty, get out of my cave.
I'm not getting a sense that he's on roller skates.
oh, I'm going down the stairs. I'm going down the stairs.
Oh, I can really hear you doing the stairs. Well done.
Yeah. That's mime school, weirdly.
Yeah. Yeah, all right, it's 5. It's 5 because you did Frank Spencer as a robot.
I've smashed my special lamp. There we go. Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Didn't even dwell on the embalmed heads.
I forgot about those.
Basically an aside.
Yeah. Didn't need him.
Oh, the groan would have been more Frank Spencer-y, I suppose, as well, thinking about it now. Because there was the noise like a hollow groan. Oh. Ooh, yeah, maybe it wasn't a groan. It was, oh,
now you're moving towards Frankie Howard there.
Oh,
no. Maybe it was.
No. Oh, get your hands off my jewelry.
Now that I think about it, the robot should have an Italian accent.
Ah, yeah. Oh well, he was played by Frank Spencer. I don't know. He probably could do it. He had quite a lot of range. Phantom of the Opera for ages. Great singer, Michael Crawford.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure a lot of that. There was a lot of stuff that went on there, which is no doubt a bonus episode now. But please go to patreon.com/lawmenpod to see what on earth got left out.
Can you imagine?
And there's all sorts of other bits and bobs there. And you can join like-minded law folk in the Discord.
A very pleasant place.
A lovely place. And thank you very much to all the people who do already support us through that. Thank you very much to Joe for editing this episode. And thank you to you for listening. But I don't think you're going to be surprised to learn that when you describe the people building the railways as quickly as possible, I'm imagining Gromit from Wallace and Gromit in the wrong trousers.